Hello, and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and my schedule has been weird lately. More often than not, I'm scheduled to work at times where I start in the afternoon, then get off late enough where I don't have a lot of time to do any recording, so here I am finally getting something done on a day off, so yay! Alright, so first things first, we just rolled the classics. I am never against playing Dale North's original soundtrack. And now we're going to move on to our next signature arcana, which which one? That's the thing, a lot of the earth-based ones I really like. Before I move on though, I want to address a comment that I got about Prickly Ballet that says that I was complaining about the spell for most of the runtime. So allow me to correct that record. I was complaining about specifically the signature cast and the idea that it doesn't seem to add much to the spell in and of itself. I know that that's a controversial take because there are people in my Discord that really like the signature cast of this spell, and yes, it does have its uses, but I think the difference between the signature cast and the regular cast of this spell is not necessarily that big of a difference, and not enough so for me to really think of it as anything super different. That having been said, it's, to me anyway, a rather, let's just say, moderate uptick to an already fantastic spell. That's what I was trying to get at. The signature cast in and of itself was but the spell in and of itself is just beautiful. And I wouldn't dare say anything otherwise. I really like this spell. I just don't think the signature cast is good. So that's like every few casts you get 4 sets of dancers instead of 1. Whatever, you get the idea. I'm not saying the entire spell is bunk, I'm just not a big fan of the signature cast. But do I like the regular spell? Abso-friggin-lutely. And we're going to now take that idea over to Obsidian Cascade, which does that. And the whole point of this one is that you just throw a line of daggers. And as it stands, they all do about 16 damage. Now, I don't know if that's somehow being affected by Hunter's Stiletto. Let's change that and figure it out for ourselves. No, we're not. Let's take off Hunter's Stiletto, put on something that's not going to boost the damage, and no. Yeah, that's just the base damage with this robe, which makes me think that the damage in general is 15. Still pretty darn good, and we are going to put on the Analytical Monocle to improve our critical hit chances. Actually, no, with the base damage being what it is, I think just going straight damage... You know what? There is no wrong way to go. Either you're getting beefy critical hits, or you're just boosting the damage of every hit a little bit, which is still pretty useful. So I think, actually, we are going to go... You know what? Let's go with Curse Eater's Mac. Yeah, Curse Eater's Mac. Perfect. Yeah, I'd like a Big Mac and, I don't know, you guys got any ice cream? No, sorry, our ice cream machine is broken. Every damn time, I'm telling you. Alright, well, my McDonald's rage being what it is, what do we use for our standard? Because of how Obsidian Cascade works, I think something that'll either keep enemies in place or push them back a bit would be the best idea. And then for when enemies get too close, we've got this bad boy. So then do we use a different dash? Thunderline is still about the best idea, but Razor Burst can work quite nicely as well. Let's actually use that. I haven't used Magma Rush in a while. And I think Flame Cleaver is the right idea. There we go. I think we've got ourselves a winner here. Now, of course, we go to get ourselves our retro floor plan, because I love having the extra gold. Now, it looks like it's going to be a minute until that shows up, so I want to take this opportunity to remind you that I very much appreciate your continued support. Those of you who come in, watch my videos, do all that good stuff, I very much appreciate you. And let's be fair, I more or less... Well, no, that's a very rude way to say it. I'm just going to say I appreciate having all of you around, regardless of anything else. The idea that so many of you want to come in and support my silly ass, it means a lot to me. Alright, so because we've got ourselves a projectile-centric build, we're taking on Atlas first. Okay, that is not a good beginning. Holy crap. Alright, come on. So, Obsidian Cascade. Obviously, what you see when you cast the spell is just a line of, I want to say it's 5 daggers, or is it 6? I think it's 5. But it's 5 daggers that just launch out in a straight line with just a little bit of a spread. Ow. Alright, so 2 things to note about the signature cast that's different from the regular cast. 1, the signature cast does pierce enemies, so it's much better for crowd control. And 2, okay, we definitely want this. You get some big boy damage going on a little later here, and greater critical hit chance. Then the other thing I was going to point out is probably something that you noticed while I was fighting in the other room, which is that you can re-aim the shots after you've thrown them out. I don't know if I want anything here. Maybe Gale Force alignment, just because it's good crowd control. But the idea that the signature can actually pierce through enemies is a good thing to remember, because it makes it so that you're definitely far less trapped than you normally would be if it really was just purely single target on the spell itself when you signature cast it. Now, that having been said, let's not kid ourselves here. Obsidian Cascade is very much something that you take because of the damage alone, and the big rain of daggers, Thousand Blades style, when you signature cast, just it looks so cool and feels so satisfying to land. I love it. Okay, so I think we're gonna grab this and this. Put our raccoon mask back on, because fucking duh. Hey, yeah, you see the kind of damage that we just racked up there with one signature cast? Like, we didn't even have to really work for that either. So this is definitely a boss slayer tool, let's be completely fair. Like, this is not something that you're taking with you because you're using it to control rooms. It does two things well, damage and stun. But crowd control, unless it's signature cast, is something that you are using another spell for. And if I'm being completely 100% fair with myself, that does knock Obsidian Cascade down a peg because it does kind of funnel its usefulness a bit. I am perfectly understanding of that, and I accept it for what it is. Like, I may have my bias, but I cannot allow my bias to get in the way of making a more objective ranking. Whimsical Explodium. Oh, that's not good. Now, the other thing I need to check is, can you dash cancel out of the signature cast once you start it? I'll have to check that next time I get signature. But you can start the spell and then dash cancel out of the basic cast, which is already pretty nice. And Iris must be having a bad day because she doesn't want to upgrade my spells. And yes, you can dash cancel out of the signature cast. So you're not stuck in place if you cast it and then suddenly find out, oh, I made a big mistake. Alright, what do you do? Signature charges faster at low health. Okay, don't care about that. Okay. Well, not complaining about that. You all know how I feel about Gust Volley. Where am I going? Probably over here. Alright, now let's go back here and grab the two things that I wanted from here. Oh, sounds like Cecil is a happy bird today. And there you go. Yep, this bad boy erases bosses. Kinda like I erased Cheesecake. I gotta Cecil had to stop and decide, was that self-deprecating humor or not? Like, is it really self-deprecating if it's just factual? Alright, that was a nice fight. And by that, I mean it was goddamn short. take it, but probably not going to use it very much. Yeah, not going to use it very much. Alright, see, look at that. So even though I say that this is a spell that you take for bosses, and pretty much bosses alone, when you do have the capability to use it for crowd control, it still works pretty well, especially if you can do something like bottleneck your opponents into one spot like that. I don't care about Pathfinder's map, but I'll take it in case I can sell it off for something else. It does mean that I know where I'm going when it comes to finding merchants, though. Oh, hey. Alright, well, we now have something that I can use to offset the cooldown penalty of the hammer. It won't do it completely, but by enough. So we'll drop that. Pick up the pendulum. This should be another enemy room here. It's just that easy to erase annoying mobs. And there's the good doctor. I should probably donate something to her to attempt to get a particularly good relic. We would, of course, like to see either the Elixir of Might or the Critical Placebos. That should go without saying. Alright, so we'll buy Fading Petal, and we'll bring this to the good doctor and see what she has for us. Catalytic Tonic. I feel used. Okay, well, I tried. Look at that, we're already hitting 41 damage per dagger. It's a thing of beauty. It's just a thing, it's a feeling of power in your hands, you know? It just feels fantastic. Yeah, I know. Pathfinder's map is quality of life, but Kasim's airy cloak, that's power. And that there is a good example of what you can do with the spell since you can essentially control its aim after you fire. It's like controlling Aqua Beam after you fire it. Although admittedly a little slower than Aqua Beam. I forgot to pick up Flame Cleaver. Well, I feel stupid now. Alright, well, that little factor aside, trust me, if I could have kept Flame... And I could have kept Flame Cleaver, I was just being dumb. I think this is one of those times where I was more worried about going fast than I was about maintaining my status quo. So that's an oops on my behalf. Beautiful. And now we should get rid of that and keep Fairy. Alright, well, I feel really dumb for having accidentally left behind Flame Cleaver. Now it's just a matter of how am I ever going to forgive myself for that one, because that was not a decision that I made consciously. I just kind of dropped it and then left. And now I feel dumb because of it. That having been said, Air Sentry is certainly not a bad spell. I just wanted Flame Cleaver. Really? Easiest boss in the game. No, I think this is better for crowd control. Because I have plenty of damage spells. I mean, Fury's Tempest kind of does crowd control. No, I should definitely... I called it Air Sentry earlier. I meant Wind Sentry. I should just stick with that. See? You can dash cancel out of it. So you are not stuck with the full effect if you don't want it. Ow. Despite accidentally getting rid of Flame Cleaver, we're doing just fine. Would I say that that's entirely on the back of Obsidian Cascade? Probably not. But let's be fair, it is getting a lot of work done. I should have just thrown that out randomly to power up the Ancient Fountain Pen. Okay, completely overkill. Also completely overkill, but can you blame a guy when he's got 1,000 blades just sitting there in his back pocket? Okay, so we are very likely not going to get the wand for the magician's outfit. So I think what we do is we drop either the Hunter Stiletto or the Top Hat. I'm going to say the Hunter Stiletto. Do I say the Hunter Stiletto? Is that part of where my damage is coming from? Does this drop slow on enemies? I don't think it does. But let's bank on not getting that, and we'll grab the Anchor of Burden. Sweet, that was completely a smart idea. Hello there, sir. Have anything fun for me? Kind of, but I'm getting signatures fast enough that I'm not too worried about the rocket. Wait, are you serious? My magma bomb actually pushed the boss out of the way of my lined up 1,000 blades. Oh, for shame! The humility! Alright, next. So, if you're gonna run this, don't put yourself in a bad position like I did. Run Razor Burst or Thunderline. Only reason why I didn't run Thunderline this time is because I run it a lot. I didn't want to seem like I was being overly repetitive with my choices. And let's be fair, most of you are going to run either Chaotic Echoes or Chaotic Rift anyway. And even though I've already explained this once, and at the risk of sounding like a little bit of an alpha chat for putting it this way, I don't use those because they make the game too easy for me. And I know it sounds like I'm saying that just to be like, haha, look at all of you little beta cucks, I'm so much better than all of you. No. I am not that person. I actively say use what makes sense to you and what you like. It does not matter to me what you use, and hell, I like using those sometimes. Sometimes they fit the build, sometimes you just want that feeling of power, just, the strength. Everything will fall into my rule. Like that. Okay, I think we have to part ways with Hunter Stiletto. But no, I say that because... not because I want to feel like I'm superior to anyone. I mean, gosh, I'm playing Wizard of Legend. Like, don't take that the wrong way. We play the game because we love it, but I mean, I'm not trying to win any sort of, like, popularity contest or anything. But Dark Sage, you're on YouTube. Okay, I am trying to win a popularity contest, it seems. But no, that's the point I'm trying to get at here is I'm not trying to make anyone feel less than. The whole point is to try to maximize people's enjoyment of my content, and one of the best ways that I can think of to do that is to make things just a little bit more challenging on myself. It's also part of the reason why I always take Retro Floor Plan, I mean, aside from just the extra money. So, I mean, yeah, I guess in one sense it is a little bit, bragging, but I mean, I also have so many hours in this game that, God, I better be good at it at this point, otherwise, what have I done with my time? Dark Sage, what does any of this have to do with Obsidian Cascade? You have a point, I'm just sharing my point of view with things other than Obsidian Cascade for just a minute. I had dropped the Hunter Stiletto over here. I'm gonna pick it up again. Give that to Cremire so he can go back to his family and Undermine, and hopefully we get to see his family and Undermine too. Also, I just noticed that my man is wearing the Amulet of Sundering. This man is prepared for a fight. And you know, I say good for him. It's good to be prepared. Bam. Owie. And there we go. Like I said, this spell just erases bosses. It's a very high damage spell with a high stun value, so it's really good for just laying on the hurt. And it does so from such a long range, too. And let's be fair, a lot of the power that I'm getting out of this spell definitely has a lot to do with the build itself. I've got so many things layering on damage. But don't let that fool you. It wouldn't even be an effect. Oh, now she levels it up. It wouldn't even be all that effective of a strategy if the damage wasn't there to begin with. And if you have giant numbers or giant damage improvements, but the base spell only hits for like 3 or 4, that would not be hitting anywhere near as impressive of numbers. And there we go. See? Boss Eraser. So, like I said, there's bias going into this. Like, I love Obsidian Cascade because of the huge amount of damage it pours out, but I'm not going to pretend like the spell has no faults. The idea that its base cast is essentially only hits a single target, or rather I should say the projectiles don't pierce, is an issue. The idea that it has a very narrow straight line hitbox is an issue. But it also does score multiple hits, so it works well with critical hit builds, and with its base damage being 15, it really benefits heavily from damage up effects. Because of how they stack on a percentage basis, or I should say multiplicatively, just the idea of adding like 20% means you're adding an extra 3 damage. So let's say, and I was getting that from just the Dagger of Midas, so by the end I was getting another 50% from the hammer, 15 from the anchor, 12 from the gloves of Gambit. The ancient fountain pen was giving me a lot. Like, as you could see, stacking up damage was getting ridiculous with that item. So those all count as positives in my book. I'm just making sure you're all aware that the idea that it does big damage does not necessarily negate its negatives. So huge damage, and the signature cast can pierce, it can change direction, and you can dash cancel out of it if you're in trouble. The negatives: narrow straight line hitbox, projectiles don't pierce. And there you have it. That's Obsidian Cascade, our good old Thousand Blades knifey boy. Like, again, I really like this one, but if I'm looking at it from an objective point of view, not overlooking its negatives, and I never have. My lists are always designed to be as objective as possible, because subjectivity is going to cause us to look at anything in a different light, whether it's, objectively good or bad. So, take that as you will, but that's going to be it for today. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and of course coming to spend your free time here with me today. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.